Hi there guys, welcome to this week's CLICvlog. Guess who's back in the saddle? You know it. Why am I back? No particular reason except remarkable coincidence. I ran into the promo offices today, Gareth was here, I was here, his camera was here. Let's do this. So today we're going to be talking about trust. It was suggested to Gareth by an anonymous benefactor and we took it on board, decided to run with it, and it seemed like a really interesting topic to discuss. It's kind of weird though because I'm only really giving my views on trust, but we'll make do anyway. So trust is really, first of all, sensitive. It's really difficult to sort of get around and to understand. I mean, the problem with trust is it is an illusion. It's something subjective, it's not objective. It's something that you create within your mind, and as such you can trust or distrust anyone you like. Whether you have good grounds or bad grounds to do so is not irrelevant, but only makes up a small portion of whether or not you should trust them. I mean, I can perfectly well trust Gareth on the premise that he's not done anything bad to me before, but at the same time, Hume, 17th century philosopher, tells us that we can't predict future events based on what's happened before. You can throw, this is coming from Enter the Matrix now, you can throw a stone in front of you and it could hit the floor, like it's done every time before that, or on the other hand it could float up towards the ceiling. You've no idea of knowing, only what's happened before. So, do I have the right to trust Gareth? Should I trust Gareth? He's not done anything bad to me before, but that's not going to stop him from walking into my house and murdering my family tomorrow if he, by some act of madness, decides to completely snap and go on a rampage. So that's the first thing that and I would say probably most important thing to get about trust is that it is subjective, it's an illusion, it's not something that you can trust, I'd say. Ooh, check that out, you can't trust. But yeah, it's something that you really need to think very hard about. And at the end of the day, just because you do trust someone doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to betray you or hurt you or do something untoward or something that you've asked them not to do. The other thing about trust is it's almost a master of disguises. I mean, you might think that someone is doing something untrustworthy or doing something inappropriate or not right for you or that goes against your wishes, when in fact the only reason they're doing that is because they do care greatly about you. They do have this deep sense of wanting to do what's best for you, even if at the time you might not think that they're doing the right thing, or you might think that they are betraying you somehow, when actually in the long run they could be doing you a great service. So that's the second important thing to remember about trust, is that it can sometimes be a bit misleading. You might think someone's being untrustworthy when actually they are doing you a huge favour, something that is really good for you. The third thing to remember about trust is that there are different kinds of trust. There is this innate sense of trust that we have in our parents versus the trust that we dish out to people, the trust that we decide who gets. I mean, when you're a child, you have to trust your parents. It depends on your survival. If they say that fire is hot, don't go into it, and you put your hands into it, it burns, and you think, oh, my parents were right, I should have listened to them. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have this burn. And from that point you learn to trust them. You learn to trust that when they say, don't jump off a cliff, you don't jump off a cliff. Because if you do, you die. You learn to trust when they say don't talk to strangers you don't know. You learn all these different things through trust in your family that help you to survive. If you don't trust your family, you will not survive. However, there's the second type of trust, which is the trust that we hand out to people. I hand trust out to Gareth and to the people in promo and to my friends, simply because I think it's important to have this sense of trust in someone. If you live a life where you don't trust anyone and you're always suspecting that someone is on your back, it's a really difficult life to lead, I think. If you're in a position where you can't trust anyone and you're always questioning the motives of someone's actions, then you're going to live a life filled with unhappiness. That's why I think trust is very important. You need to hand it out to people, even if it's just one person, so that you can talk openly and freely about your issues and your emotions and your problems, as well as the good things that are happening in life. You can make plans, and making plans is a useful thing to do. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the greatest thing to do, and we'll discuss this in another CLICvlog, but it is important to have a sense of what life can or could hold for you. So that's the third thing to remember about trust, is there are different kinds. One that you really can't do much about. It's something, I mean, obviously the trust towards your parents changes as you learn the ways of the world, but in those first, 10, 15 years, you do have to trust what your parents say versus the trust that you hand out. So those are the three things to remember about trust. If there's anything else you'd like us to discuss, then let us know through various methods. If you want to get involved, then, or if you just want to say hi, then. And remember to tune in whenever the next one goes up. Thanks for joining us this week, guys. It's been a pleasure to be back, and I'll see you all again sometime, I'm sure, in the future.